All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're heading to Mars. You know, that big red planet that's captured our imaginations for so long.
Yeah, Mars. It's definitely having a moment in the spotlight.
Well, especially with big names like Elon Musk talking about building a whole city there with his SpaceX Starship.
Right, and we've even seen figures like Donald Trump pushing for quicker crewed missions to Mars. It's definitely a hot topic.
But for all the excitement, there's a pretty big challenge that we need to talk about. One that could really impact those dreams of Martian settlements.
Oh, absolutely.
And that, my friend, is Martian dust. We're basing this deep dive on a recent study from GeoHealth, covered by NDTV, and they're sounding the alarm about the health risks this dust poses to future astronauts.
Yeah, it's not just a little bit of dirt to brush off your shoulder. This stuff's serious business.
And what makes it even trickier is that even though Mars has this super thin atmosphere, filtering out these tiny, tiny dust particles is going to be a huge obstacle.
It's not easy. So let's break it down.
Yeah, let's do it. Especially for our listeners out there gearing up for the UPSC exams, this is right up your alley. We're talking cutting-edge science with big implications for space exploration, technology, and even policy down the line.
You got it. So first things first, the biggest concern with Martian dust is the risk to astronauts' lungs.
Okay, so why is that? Like, what's so different about this dust?
It's all about size. We're talking particles so fine, they're even smaller than talcum powder. So imagine that. They can easily get lodged deep, deep down in the lungs, and once they're there, they can even be absorbed into the bloodstream.
Wow, that doesn't sound good at all.
It's definitely a cause for concern. And it's not just about the size, the actual composition of the dust is a problem too.
Oh, so there's more to worry about than just these tiny particles getting stuck.
Unfortunately, yes. We're talking about some pretty hazardous substances mixed in with this dust, notably silica and iron oxides.
Okay, hold on. Break those down for me. What's the big deal with those?
Sure. So, silica dust. When you breathe that in, it can lead to something called silicosis. It's a really nasty lung disease. And then you've got the iron oxides, which also pose risks to the respiratory system.
So it's like a double whammy then. The size and the stuff in it, both bad news.
Yeah, and here's another layer of concern. Think about the trip to Mars. That journey means prolonged exposure to space radiation, which on its own increases the risk of pulmonary fibrosis.
Pulmonary fibrosis.
That's basically scarring of the lung tissue. So when you combine that with the dust inhalation, well, the risks just skyrocket.
It sounds like this dust is a constant threat. Like, how much of it are we talking?
Oh, it's everywhere. Think of it like this. Mars is basically one giant dust bowl. It's constantly settling, covering everything in a fine layer, and then every few years you've got these massive planet-wide dust storms that just blanket the whole place in thick, choking layers.
So we've been to the moon. Didn't we encounter dust there too? Did we learn anything from those Apollo missions?
We did, but here's the thing. Lunar dust also caused some surprise health issues for the Apollo astronauts. But a Mars mission is a whole different ballgame.
How so?
It's about distance and time. If there's a medical emergency on the moon, you can get back to Earth relatively quickly. But on Mars, that's not an option.
That's right. It's way, way farther.
Exactly. Plus, you've got those significant communication delays, so astronauts can't rely on immediate real-time support from Earth if something goes wrong. They're much more on their own.
You know, I read somewhere that the shape of the dust particles on Mars is unique. Is there something to that?
No, absolutely. And that's a crucial point. Martian dust particles, they're much sharper and more jagged than Earth dust, almost like tiny little asbestos fibers.
Asbestos. That doesn't sound good.
No, it's not. And that sharpness means they can cause way more irritation and damage to the delicate lining of the lungs.
So this isn't just a human problem, right? Haven't we already seen this dust wreaking havoc on our robotic missions too?
You're right. Take the InSight lander. NASA
Oh.
had to end that mission early in 2021, and guess what the culprit was? You got it. Dust.
So the dust actually took out a whole lander.
It did. It kept accumulating on the solar panels, blocking the sunlight, and eventually the lander just couldn't generate enough power to keep going. It's a stark reminder of how challenging this dust is, even for machines.
It's kind of ironic that even someone like Elon Musk, with all his Mars colonization plans, acknowledges how dangerous this dust is.
Yeah, he doesn't sugarcoat it. He said straight up that it's a significant risk. But he does believe it's a manageable one, if we prepare properly.
So the takeaway here is that we can't just ignore this. We've got to be ready for this dust.
Exactly. The researchers are urging us to really focus on preventing and treating any potential health issues that could arise from this dust exposure. It's crucial for astronaut safety and for the success of any future missions.
And for our listeners out there, especially those prepping for UPSC, this is the perfect example of how scientific challenges are intertwined with human ambition in space exploration.
Yeah.
It's relevant to so many fields, from science and technology to even policymaking.
Exactly.
So to sum it up, Martian dust is a serious, complex health risk that needs to be addressed head-on if we're going to send humans to Mars. We need thorough research and some really solid preventative strategies.
And that raises a really interesting question. Given all the challenges posed by Martian dust and all the other hazards of space travel, what do you think are the most critical, ethical, and practical things we need to consider when we talk about the future of human space exploration?
That's a big question, and a good one for our UPSC aspirants to ponder. How will these scientific findings impact space policy? How will they drive technological innovation? And how will they shape our understanding of humanity's place in the universe? Lots to think about. And this deep dive was based on information from NDTV. If you found this helpful for your UPSC prep, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave us a comment with any other topics you'd like us to cover.